and welcome to Dr. Pai's Astrology channel. This is Nav, and today I'm here with Dr. Kanholi Sandeep and Dr. Aditya Togi, and we're presenting their new research on connecting astrography with nakshatras. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So, I want to, it's an interesting topic which I was discussing before with Aditya, looking into so I was playing around with astrocartography, right? So you are looking at how the astrological chart out on the world map, basically, and how different parts of the globe is actually connected with your chart. So I was just playing around with that, and it made me think about some interesting concepts. So I just wanted to present that, now. So what I'll do is that I'll just show a simple, easiest way to look into an astrocartography chart, and so I'll screen. So I connected from my laptop as well. I share my screen from my laptop. Now, there is a website called as astro.com. Actually offers a free astrocartography chart, and that's the easiest way to make that. And, you go to astro.com website, you go to free horoscope, you see AstroClick Travel, and that's where that's the option you click. And then here I'm just editing a new chart here, and then I just want to look at that. So 9 February, right now the time is February. Indian time right now is 28. So I'm just entering that, and then I'm in Calicut, Kerala. So let's look at that. India, let's see, and then Code is my city. Let's see. So I just wanted to show one interesting concept here. What I mean astrologically, to be frank, because if you understand the astrocartography part, there is a concept called as the vortex, for a particular planet. So let's just look at that. So right now, what this chart is actually being calculated, I believe. Let's see. I'm not sure what's going on here. Let's see. Okay, great. So the chart has been calculated. So here's the thing. You can see the chart coming up. I'm actually going to show one simple concept here. You can see if you look at this particular chart, it's kind of showing the main planetary lines. Now you have to remember this is a Western astrology site. So we'll also show the planetary lines connected with the outer planets as well. So you can see, now it's noon time here in India. So you can see what is interesting is that, so Aditya, you are the astronomer here. So I'm going to ask you. So noon time is here in India. What house will be sun situated in right now?
Sun is in the 10th house. If it is noon, sun will be in the 10th house.
Exactly. So I'm talking exactly from this particular location here, in India. You will expect sun to be in the 10th house. So you can see, interestingly, you see the sun is, you see the line here is actually the line that is exactly passing through where I'm located at is actually the sun line here. There is also a moon line here. Now it's full moon time. So if right now, if it's a full moon, the sun is in the 10th house, which house will the moon be in?
4th house.
So you can see sun MC line is here. MC is the 10th house and IC is the 4th house, basically. So sun is in the 10th house, you can see. That is what sun in MC line means. So sun right now, at this particular position, sun is in the 10th house. At this particular position, moon is in the 4th house. That's what simply it tells us. It's that. Now you can see one interesting thing here. The sun is in the 10th, and you see there is a big vortex, this big zero circle here. You can see there's the sun is a golden colored line, and the vortex of the sun is actually the circle that is being seen here. And now, of course, astro.com, if you click on the different regions, it gives its own default interpretation. You can read what the interpretations on the right side very easily. So that's a easy thing there. But the thing I wanted to emphasize is that in this website, in even in principle of astrocartography, if you wanted to activate any planet, the best way to activate any planet is by going to the vortex region of that planet. So say you wanted to activate sun right now. The idea would be you go to the vortex region. So what would I do if I wanted to activate my sun? I literally have to take a ship and go to this vortex region.
So I
So
have
the
a
best
question, Sandeep.
solution to
I have a question.
go ahead, yeah.
So if I agree with you that the sun is
Right,
in the 10th house in that particular
right,
longitude, no doubt. Why that
yeah,
latitude is also important? What is the significance of that latitude? I need to go there,
right. That's a very
or I need to go there at
yeah.
any point on that longitude.
Right. That's a very good question. Very 100% very good question. The question is like why the vortex is it possible to activate this vortex region only at this particular latitude, you know, or do you is it possible if is it fine if you go along in this line along another latitudes to activate this particular vortex region? Now the answer to that is you can say two ways. One, you will get the most power from if you go to the vortex region in astrography chart. So literally if you take a ship and pass through this ocean region, you will get the most of it at always. You know, right now astrology they don't consider the declination of the planets. That is what is reflected as the celestial latitudes, the declination of the planets in the sky. But I think there are astro beginning to look at that. They are beginning to do research into declination. At some point in the future, looking into that also. Even Vedic astrology will also be looking into that. But to answer your question, you can access the sun's vortex energy anywhere in India. So anywhere in India right now, it's noontime. You know, right now it's noontime. So sun is very strong right now. So you are right. You know, so right now you can actually access the power of sun's energy along this line. But imagine if you were here at this particular point right now, you can imagine the kind of that sun's energy is very strong. So the idea here is that to activate sun's energy, you go to vortex region, you know, and that's what it translates as. The same way here also you can see Mercury is here close to
I think
Malaysia.
what has happened, Sandeep, just I may be
Go
wrong,
ahead, yeah.
because today
Go
is
ahead, yeah.
February 9th. I'm having my almanac. I'm seeing that on
Right,
February 9th, the sun declination is at minus 15 degree.
right. Yeah,
Sun declination is at minus 15 degree, correct?
right, exactly.
And what's happening at minus 15? Where that vortex point is? 15 degrees south.
It is exactly, yeah, 15 degrees south, yeah. Yeah. So that's exactly that. Yeah, you can see that sun's position. So declination is the actual. So in astrology, we are looking at the longitudes. Most of the signs are only looking at the degrees. We are looking only at the longitudes. Now, what we have done in this astrocartography map is that entire longitude is spread upon map. So that's what you're seeing, entire longitude. But now suddenly you in the map that's also not looking at the degrees. You're also looking at the 2D kind of thing, right? So you have a picture to look at. So you also have to look at the latitudes or the declination of the planets. So exactly that. What Ardita is saying is that 15 degrees. So if this is the equator, which is 0 degrees, if you go south of that, you can see equator is going through Africa, Kenya, and all that. Now 15 degrees minus 15 degrees is exactly where sun's position is. So that's exactly where the vortex of sun is located. That's what it translates as. Now, the position of Mercury here is somewhat minus, some minus degrees happening for vortex of Mercury. Now, here's the idea in astrocartography. The idea of basic idea in astrocartography is that if you want to activate a planet, you go to the vortex region, or the influence of the planet is very strong in the vortex region. Now, if you have this simple idea of vortex region in astrocartography, the same I can even play out in Vedic astrology also, even within your birth chart. Now that's the simplest idea. So what does this translate as, right? So let's now I'll actually share the stop sharing my screen, and I'll kind of show this what it translates as in a let's see in a chart context. So I'll actually start sharing my the astrology software. Let's see. So I'm going to start sharing my, let's see. So you can see right now, I'm actually having I'm sharing the screen for the time of So I think 12:33 was the time I was looking at, and you can see right now at this particular moment. Let's see. So yeah, sun, the ascendant is actually 2 degrees. Is it 2 degrees? No, it's changing. Let's look at that. So you can see that sun is very close to the. Now, Aditya, tell me, what is the definition for a planet to be at house-wise? Like what house exactly will be, like what time period will be
The
the planet be at known?
first house is rising, correct?
Right,
The
right,
seventh house will be setting. 10th house will be when
right,
it is maximum altitude, maybe the noon, and then the 12th
right.
house, fourth house will be the midnight, or when the planet is set.
Midnight, right. Exactly that. Now you see, now here it's past noon time in India. So it's like 12:45 right now, 12:47. So the sun right now is actually crossed the 10th house point and moving towards the 9th house point because the noon time is already over, you know. But the idea is that imagine at this particular point, you are in this, let's see, you were Taurus ascendant. Interesting. You can see that ascendant is actually 6 degrees of Taurus. Now, the idea is that a planet's place in the 10th house with respect to an ascendant will be very, very strong. You know, it's a simple idea. A planet which is posited, the 10th to any other Rashi will be extremely strong. Why? Because the 10th house position is actually connected with the vortex region in the astrocartography chart. It's as simple as that. So it means that, you know, if you have Taurus ascendant, right now in this ascendant degree, it's 6 degrees of Taurus, actually exactly located in 10 house away in this chart. So Mercury is going to be strong for this particular chart. You know, maybe like, let's see, an hour back when it was 11:48 or so, let's 11:46 or something like that. You can see the ascendant would have been an Aries sign, but the ascendant would be, yeah, ascendant would have Saturn, Sun in the 10th house. So it's like about to be known at this particular moment. You have Sun again located in 10th house. So in this particular chart, you could say the vortex region very strong. The influence of sun will be very, very strong. You know, now as you're going forward, like you move forward in time to this particular moment, you see Mercury is placed in the 10th house, and that is actually carrying its own placement. So it's the simple idea that when you look at any planet or point, you also have to look at what is happening in the 10th house from that planet, because that's exactly that planet will be casting a very, very importance. Why is that? Astrocartography wise, the vortex of the region will actually fall in particular 10th house with respect to that planet, with respect to that particular house, and that can very big influence. And let me actually, so how can you use this further? How can you actually use this knowledge further? One is that we already know the 10th house is actually the karma bhav and the house of career and things like that, you know. So we know that already a 10th house with our highest karma, that can accomplish in his lifetime. So for any planet to achieve its high karma, the planet that is situated in 10 houses away from that planet will be very, very important, no matter what. So it's like, it's a very different concept. I think once Dr. Pai had mentioned how you also have to look at the 10th house from Rahu to understand its deep impact. Now, this is the exact principle that you are using here. The simple idea is that, again, 10th house from Rahu is exactly how that karma play out. Now, wise, you can actually see it immediately. You can see that vortex is influencing there. You know, that's a big reason why. And if you understand that principle, then you can apply, you can just look at that same chain parallel to your circuitography chart, and then you can use it and apply it further, you know. But that's the simplest idea. And then, of course, this can be connected with nakshatras. Now, look at any nakshatra you are looking to activate, you know.
Can we do one more example, Sandeep?
Yeah, so let me show that. Let me do that actually.
Can you put a date, same time? Date should be 20.
Sure, go ahead, yeah.
23rd, 21st of June.
Let's look at that. 21st of June.
Same place, same time. I would like to see where the vortex is of sun.
Right.
It should be in India because 23.5 degree. Because I know the declination of sun on 21st of June is 23.5.
Let's
So
see.
what to test
So
that concept?
yeah, let's see.
Because it just clicked me, you know,
So
when I saw.
no, yeah, decline is a thing here for sure. Let's see. Declination is a very big important factor in understanding the vortex,
People have
for
a
sure.
Western
But
astrology
I've
use a
seen,
lot that declination and
yeah,
all.
exactly that. Declination they use very heavily, Let me actually share my screen.
Yeah.
Let's see, share. Yeah. So again, so now let's see, um, which is 21st of June, right?
Correct.
That's
Yeah,
the solstice date, if I'm not mistaken.
exactly. Yes.
Let's see. So what is happening on solstice days? What the declination, what the vortex of sun is actually placed in
It should be
this
at
particular
around 20
time?
degrees.
Yeah,
If my
let's see.
concept holds true.
So again, just a reminder, in Astrocartography, and this is what actually people do. Astrologers prescribe remedies by saying, go to this Jupiter vortex region to activate your Jupiter. Go to Venus vortex region to activate your Venus. Go to like Mars vortex region to activate your Mars, and that I've seen that happening. Now this vortex region I've seen it play out in many ways. One way easily it can play out is that the people who are connected with these vortex regions can come into your life, and they can be a big source of inspiration. So, for instance, I had a cousin who had a Jupiter vortex region in Zimbabwe, in Africa. And then, what was interesting is that he started following this Robert Mugabe's Instagram, and this Robert Mugabe is the sarcastic kind of, humor. He has a very dark, sarcastic kind of humor. So, and he was actually that a lot more. And then I told him, do you have any kind of connection with Zimbabwe? And it's like a Kerala guy, you don't expect anything. He said, I'm actually following Instagram account of Robert Mugabe. So it's exactly that. So it needn't always be that you are going to that place, but someone born in that can be inspiring. And that's what he was doing, actually constantly sharing me this Robert Mugabe jokes, about all things. But yeah, so Aditya, here's the chart you have. I think the sun MC is actually here.
Makes
So
sense.
it's falling yeah. So in 21st July, the summer solstice is happening. So it's like exactly
23
happening in
point.
India.
So
The
that should be
vortex is actually in India.
23.5 degree north, which is what it is.
Exactly that. You can see 20 here, 0
So that
here,
means
20
the
there. So
vortex,
yeah,
the
yeah.
vortex point falls in the 10th house and the declination of that planet on that day.
So yeah, if you want to activate a sun on that day, be in India at this particular point, be in Gujarat and stuff, so that you can actually activate your sun vortex very easily. So maybe that's a to easy simple solution. I think Dr. Pai was talking about temporal vortexes earlier. I do think perhaps at some point we might be able to decode the astrocartography part, of temporals and vortexes also. But yeah, I think in this particular day, on the summer solstice day, you can see a lot of things happening. I think sun will be in Rahu also, right? I think the eclipse will also be close to that. Maybe that's why you have vortex regions there with sun. Sun be Rahu will also be in Gemini, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So let's see. I think yeah. So that's one influence that is playing out. Let's see.
But something
Yeah,
new I learned.
but
It depends on declination also. That was.
yeah, exactly that. Definitely declination is something. Definitely to understand the vortex, you need to look at the declination. I think eventually in the future we'll be looking at declination. Simple techniques with regard to declination, of course. They say that if a planet is located having a minus declination degree, it's challenging. With a positive declination degree, they say it's like uplifting, that kind of thing. But it depends, in my opinion. But the vortex idea is actually this vortex being located always at 10th house from a particular planetary position. Now that's very important. Here, look at this particular date. You have Mercury what particular date is actually falling in the Gulf region, in Arabia region. Yeah, you can say it's the Mercury vortex, so it's like the little green circle. Let me see. I'm wondering if it's the Mercury, but The key thing is that in astrocartography, the idea is that you go to any of the planetary lines, the influence of that planetary planet is very, very strong. You go to a vortex line, it's extremely strong. Now, all these lines are actually basically following Kendra position with respect to any. So if you look at the line, you should be able to say what particular zodiac sign is acting here. Now, we know that when a planet is having a vortex, it's the 10th house. This particular sign is exactly having this particular planet in those position with respect to the chart. So this particular, let's see. So if it's noon time in India, we know that we can almost estimate that the ascendant should be Aries. You could say that, Aries also, Aries, maybe Taurus also, if it's past noon time slightly like that. So basically, if Mercury is in the 10th house, you can easily say this ascendant should definitely be Taurus also. Why should I say Taurus? Because Mercury is in 10th house with respect to ascendant. Now what you'll find, there are Mercury lines also going elsewhere to the world. You'll find that the zodiac signs are now changing with respect to these particular same color lines. So here it's 10th house. Here Mercury will be 7th house, which is green color line, and then here Mercury will actually be 4th house. This particular line will be 4th house, and then finally this particular line will be the ascendant. So basically, the planetary lines indicated by the astrocartography map is the Kendra position of that planet. The corresponding signs where the planet will fall in Kendra positions. So the 10th house is a principle that will definitely work. But ultimately, we have to understand astrocartography is also pointing that the planets located in Kendra with respect to the planet is also going to cause a big influence. And that's a simple astrological principle. Astrocartography is saying, go to this particular line, you will get that influence of that planet. Astrology should be saying, if you have a planet in that is going to impact that particular house you are analyzing, But of them all, the strongest planet that will be impacting that particular house is the planet situated in 10th house position, which is the vortex position of them all. So that's the whole concept, Of course, I haven't prepared any, but this is one simple thing I want you all to analyze, If you click on the vortex region, astro.com does a very good job in analyzing what happens in the region. You can read the interpretation and stuff like that. You can get a very good analysis. But I've seen this working in many ways. I've seen that people who are born close to the vortex region will be very powerful, like in a very good influence in your life. Like you go to the pilgrimage places connected with these vortex regions can be actually powerful. Like natives who have a vortex in maybe, like as I mentioned, Ethan had a Jupiter vortex in Zimbabwe. Like he had a big source of inspiration there. Like he was going through the more depressing time in his life, but he was actually laughing the Instagram page of Robert Mugabe, But then at the same time, I think this concept can be applied further again. If you're a frequent traveler, imagine if you have a vortex in the middle of the ocean, what can you do? You can actually take a flight across the ocean from one country so that the vortex is accessed. That's the scene. You needn't actually do that. One other thing I've seen, especially when you're traveling, I myself, in my own chart, when I cross one particular line, it's as if the movies I'm watching in flight will be completely changed. So initially I'm watching all kind of like Thor and stuff like that. And then suddenly I'm watching a romantic kind of movie immediately because I crossed a big line and I had to go back and see what was happening. That's one thing I've seen. And in some cases I've seen that you might, there'll be some of the layovers you might have in some country might be connected with one particular line. And you'll realize that you stayed in that country for some time, you absorb that energy from that, and then you go to the next, your hometown or whatever. That energy of that planet has also been activated when you're traveling and stopping at one particular thing. So if you're taking a long flight, have a look at your astrocartography map and then decide your stopover or layover flights. That's also a simple solution to activate many planetary lines. That's a simple thing. Of course, if you have a vortex and stuff, that's great. And what the question what Aditya asked before about going to the vortex region or this line, I've seen both working. I've seen the vortex region definitely creates an impact, but even if you are in that line, that is also creating a big impact. I've seen that also happening. But yeah, that's the core idea. Dr.
So what you are saying, maybe just one, maybe two sentences if I can say.
Sure, yeah. Go
You
ahead,
are born on a certain day and a certain
yeah.
time.
Right.
At that instant of time, at that moment of time, somewhere on the earth,
Right.
we have 9
Right.
planets. So that planet should be in the
Right.
10th house,
Right.
correct? At that particular
Yeah.
region, at
Yeah.
that date, at that time when you were born.
Yes.
And that becomes
Yeah.
important for you.
Exactly. Exactly that.
Say you are
100% exactly
born,
that.
yeah, you are born on say 1999 February 9th, let's say. So
Right.
at 12:30 p.m. in India, let's say, you
Right.
have 9 planets. That 9 planets can be in the 10th house at some place on the earth at that instant of time. That place becomes important
Right.
for you. Those 9 places will be important. Those will be the 9 vortexes for those planets for you.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly that. So you want to activate your Venus, you will go to your Venus vortex. In this chart, I think Venus is somewhere in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. But if you want to activate this is actually Venus vortex. Yeah, Venus
So
is
if a
actually in the
person is born
Arabian
on
region here.
say 21st June 2020 at 12:38 p.m. at Calicut, India, then
Right.
Mercury will be in the 10th house in this country is where
In Bangladesh, yeah. In East India, in Kolkata.
in,
This is actually a Venus vortex in Arabia.
correct,
Gulf
in
is this is
Arabia
the
Venus
Venus
vortex, yeah.
vortex. You can see that.
Correct.
This is the Venus symbol here. So you have Mercury symbol actually in East India in Bengal region.
Correct.
Right now. So at this particular date, you want to get maximum energy of Mercury. You travel to the East India, and then Mercury will be in the 10th house, and then you will be absorbing Mercury, and you will see that your Mercury in your chart is being activated in that particular way. So houses Mercury is ruling will be activated. You know, whatever sign Mercury is ruling, whatever conjunction, whatever nakshatra is placed in will be activating. You know, again, this having a, you know, let me actually show one last thing. You know, but any questions so far with what I've
Just
shared?
one question, if I may
Yeah.
ask. In the astrocartography that you're showing now,
Right.
what you were sharing, what are
Right.
those points that I'm seeing in India? And what is it
Oh yeah.
aligned with?
Right. So let me share that again. So yeah. So in India, what you can see, at least on 21st of June, right? You can see, you can actually zoom in.
Okay, what is Aditya?
Hmm.
Remind me, what is 21st of June? Is it the summer solstice?
Yes.
Okay. Now, can you zoom in on India, Santip?
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, my computer was slow, but
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, zoom in as much as you can on India. Okay, there are 2 points that I really want to explore very much in this on a summer solstice. Summer solstice means sun has to be powerful. Can you see that red dot? Is it somewhere coinciding with Rameshwaram? And the
No,
green
the
dot
red is
coinciding
actually
with
the
Konark, the sun temple.
so it's actually the key where I'm at right now. The red thing here, the red cross.
That is
Okay.
It's just the location.
Calicut.
Oh, it's Calicut, is it?
Calicut, yeah. So you can see here, Calicut, yeah. So summer, you can see, actually it's winter 21, June 21 is the summer solstice. That's also close to the eclipse date. So you see 3 vortexes here. You can see one is actually Neptune vortex, the other is actually the Rahu vortex, and the other is actually the sun vortex. So
Okay, what is the green
here.
thing? What is the green thing? I
You
can't
can
see
see
it
here
very
moon.
clearly from my phone.
Yeah, is actually Mercury MC, Mercury vortex here. The green thing here is Mercury vortex. Yeah. So basically, what is the eclipse, Aditya? What happens when eclipse is happening?
Sun, moon, I think this is a solar eclipse because sun is there, moon is there,
Exactly that.
and Rahu there. That's a solar eclipse.
Exactly. So you can see the eclipse is very strong this time in Western India, like West India this particular day, very, very strong. So this
it will be
temple
more in
there will
Gujarat.
be extremely powerful. Gujarat, yeah, more in Gujarat for sure. More in definitely. So yeah, but good stuff is happening in Bengal though. Mercury vortex is there. You know,
Is it Bengal or is it Konark?
Yeah,
it's Bengal.
you could
Orissa.
say Bengal close to, but But it's Konaku is very closely vortex. So astrocartography, they'll say it's still carrying an impact. So like if you click on this region, Astro will show the influence of this show the analysis here. So you can see it will soon show Mercury thing there, but yeah,
Mercury,
if you
yeah.
just click on this region, so yeah, well,
Okay,
there's
okay,
actually
fine.
Chiron line which is close to and so on. Yeah, but yeah, if you click on the Mercury zenith, they call it. So there's actually the Mercury vortex region here, Mercury in zenith. So you can click on this and read all this, yeah, stuff, which is actually describing Mercury kind of qualities here. Yeah. So yeah, so that's the thing. So June 1st is close to summer solstice day, is close to the eclipse also is happening on that particular day.
But luckily, it
So
may
that is
not
what
be
is
that every
happening.
time that happens. It is for by coincidence,
Yeah.
or because it has so happened that
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think isn't Somnath temple in Gujarat, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah. Somnath is in Gujarat. Yeah.
Right. So that temple will have a very powerful shifting happening, that you can almost say 100% for sure.
Yeah, that's what I was also thinking,
yeah.
because it's passing through maybe Gir and Somnath, which is Jyotirlinga for the moon.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, definitely. So it's very interesting if to be there at that point. Now I've seen this is simple.
I have one
things.
question. You always
Sure,
talk
ahead,
about MC line and all, but what about IC line?
IC line is IC line.
What will happen in IC line?
Astrocartography.
Yeah.
Yeah, astrocartography. They say IC line is the place where that planet will feel very comfortable. Like you are at your home, so that planet is actually feeling at home. So it's basically that when the planet's IC line is happening. So what I was saying before, you are accessing, the fourth house position. The planet is placed in the fourth house at that particular
So if I have, say, my Venus MC line, if I go there, what experience I will have? And if I go on a Venus IC line, is it possible that I will get some negative experiences and all?
Well, IC line, that's a good question. You can see energetic influence will be very outside. It will be visible in the, let me stop sharing screen. So I'll say that, the energetic experience will be very visible. Literally, it's in a known time. You can see that energy of the planet is very visible in the MC line. That's the vortex concept, the zenith concept. But in the IC line, that planet is not at all visible, so you can't see that at all. But you feel that very homely. It's your home, it's your place where you're kind of going back home and sleeping, right? So you'll feel that very strongly at home. So say you are, easiest thing, let's say you're married, right? You want to show your wife to the world. You go to the zenith line, Venus in 10th house, MC line. Everyone sees your wife. That is Venus in MC vortex. Venus in IC is basically you are bringing your wife to your home. And that's the exact experience you have. Now it's not, everyone is not seeing, but that's exactly what is happening. That Venus is definitely in your home. That's exactly that. So that is the way I would interpret that. So yeah, it's but so there's a starting point. I just want people to start looking at that. There are many other layers to nakshatra, this astrocartography thing. The easiest thing I would say is that Parashara Light has a astrocartography option in which you can look at the nakshatra divisions. You can actually understand a lot of things. At least, but having this basic understanding of looking at the 10th house point from any planet, so remember I showed the first vortex. I showed how the vortex is actually controlled the planet placed in 10,000 in the chart. And if that vortex is important in the astrocartography sense, then the 10th house from any planet is going to be very important. The planet's 10th house with respect to any other planet will be extremely important. And then, you can use that principle again. You can, if a planet is placed in the 10th house is important, then the 10th house cusp of any planet is also going to be important. So again, this cusp point is when you have to look at the degree of that planet and look at the corresponding natra that is falling in the 10th house with respect to that particular planet. Because as the curve of that particular planet, and then 10th house cusp from that particular planet is falling in the in a particular nakshatra, which will also be important. So that's also an important simple principle, but it's when you begin to use that more, and when you begin to look at the astrocartography chart more, it will also begin to it will help you out a lot. But you can actually derive a lot of useful astrological principles just from the astrocartography illustration. So that's what to show. But yeah, any questions so far? Hopefully, you understood what I've shared.
Yeah, I just have a question, Sandeep. For me, it will be very interesting with this research to also see in your astrocartography if the 10th cusp, wherever that region falls,
Yeah.
if there is a natural calamity that
Yes.
happens there, if there is a volcano in that region, if there is an
Yeah.
earthquake in that
Yeah.
region,
Yes.
will that really be an
Yes.
indication of showing something is happening with you
Yes.
in that area of your life?
Yes.
It will be
Yes.
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. So like for instance, you have say you experience 12th Lord cusp, 10th cuspal region. You identify the vortex region of the 12th house cusp, and then some people are really affected by certain calamities, like a forest is burning in Amazon. You are crying. So then you donate all the money you have to that forest. That kind of thing I actually see, because you might begin to look at the astrocartography to see that kind of an impact playing out. So in my opinion, yeah, the calamities are one big thing. What is interesting is that you will see certain regions attracting you very easily. So why are some people obsessed with Japanese culture? You might have a line passing through there, but if you have a vortex passing through there, you might actually be accessing that. That's the only way you are able to access that planet's energy right now, where you're located at. So you're watching Japanese culture, you're continuing Indian culture, that kind of thing. So it could be actually, you might be access them in specific ways. So Jupiter vortex, you might be reading books about that particular place. Venus vortex, you might be looking at that movies, and Mercury is like information friends from that particular place, and so on. So if you identify the planet that is falling in, use the planetary karka tattvas, and you connect that with that particular region, then you're getting much more detailed influences that is coming into your life. So it's a very simple thing. I can say definitely, like, next time you're going over the flight, see what movies are you watching. You'll see that exactly there'll be a correlation that is happening. You'll see that 100%. I can do that. Yeah. But I think that's a good point, Dr. Pai. I think the calamity point. We usually say certain calamities can strike in certain region, but if we begin to use astrocartography, I'm positive that at some point we will be able to predict which regions will be impacted the most also, especially if you're using the declination concept, like what Aditya was showing. I think that's also going to be important eventually in the future. Because right now, I think declination is something which the Western astrologers have been using very effectively. Like, for instance, Donald Trump moon is called it as an extreme declination. It's out of bounds, as they would call it. So that's why they say he's so crazy, because it's like even out of the ecliptic kind of thing. So, but that's an actual thing. So that's like, if you have a planet that is out of bounds, there's a chance you might go through this kind of transformation. You might go through an extreme kind of situation. At that point, you can access the energies of the planets by using the vortex region, the IC line, and MC and all that. Then you might actually find ways to calm down that energy, or to activate that energy many in a healing way, to be frank. So yeah.
So yeah, so if
I
you have
think,
Venus in your
yeah,
fourth house,
right,
correct? If you have Venus in your fourth
right,
house at the time of birth, then you should go to the opposite part
right.
of the Earth, because at there Venus is
Exactly
in the
that.
10th house.
100%.
So if
Exactly
you're
that.
born in India
Exactly that.
with
So
Venus in fourth house, go to
yeah,
the opposite part of the Earth, which is US and Canada and all, because there you
right.
will have Venus in the 10th house.
Yeah, but see,
So
here's the thing.
look for a
Yeah,
partner in that
but
part of the world.
Yeah, yeah.
you will
So,
easily find partners. No, but here's the concept though. One important, combining both astrocartography and astrology, you'll see that Venus is getting Digbala in the fourth house. So when you're born, you'll be comfortable with the Venus there. But then you go to the opposite part of the world. You go to the US or something. You're like, what's going on here? My married life is ruined. That kind of thing, because you're connecting now with the Digbala concept also, indirectly. So it's like, that's also one more thing you can begin to look at. That's also an interesting topic to what is happening when you travel to a different. Is this the actual indicator what the ancients were saying about the big concept? That's an actual potential thing there, So that's one of the things you could say. But yeah, I can definitely say astrocartography for sure. That's both your research. A lot more research will happen in the future for sure. I can say that. Yeah. Yeah. But right. For sure, if you go to the opposite part of the world, say you're not married, at least fine, you'll find some girl for sure, because that girl relationship is going to be a big part for you,
Unfortunately, I
because
don't
that's
have
your
Venus
karma
in the
bhava.
fourth house, man. That's the problem. That's
Yeah, no, no, yeah. There are people who are traveling, they are still not married, they're struggling. You know what? You could try that. There are people who are traveling and finding that out, would actually say that. Yeah. The easiest thing I would, again, just to add on to what Dr. Pai was saying in another video about temples and stuff, go to the deities connected with that particular energy in that particular region. So, like Jupiter Vortex, go to a Vishnu temple. You have Venus Vortex, go to a Shiva temple. Or like go to a god with Venus Vortex, go with the planetary energies more in that particular region. Then you can access those energies actually present there in a very easy manner also. So that's also one more subtle layer of distinction that can be added, in my opinion. Yeah. And of course, if you understand nakshatras, then you can be very clear about how that energy will play out and things like that also. So that's the other aspect. So it's just the final point I will just say is that the 10th house cusp from any nakshatra will be carrying the ultimate karma bhav of that particular Asina nakshatra. It's also a deep topic of research. At some point, we'll begin to uncover that also.
Yeah, I think I agree with that, Sandeep. I think this is a great work that you have really brought forward to astrocartography. Let's not forget that 10th house holds your um karmas for your kriyamani karmas. Kriyamani means what you actions that you need to do. Like for example, fourth house is where your agami karmas are. Agami means what is coming in future. Kriyamani karmas are your 10th house. That's why we leave our home to go out to the 10th house. Fourth house is your home. You leave the comforts of your home, you go to the 7th house from it, which is your workplace where you work. That's why you make most of your kriyamani karmas. So 10th house is your kriyamani karma. So that makes sense that you're talking about that. But what is another concept that I would really like to explore, which I don't know, which I've still been thinking about, is the whole concept of the golden ratio phi, 1.618. So somewhere in your chart, you can identify that spot, which is the golden ratio. Like if you take the Earth, there have been many belief systems. Again, there are a lot of things which people talk about. They say the golden phi point on the Earth is Mecca, where the Kaaba is. Okay, but that point has been shifting as well, as per many scientists, because it's not fixed. With the motion of the Earth and with the thing, the point can keep moving. So maybe at the point many, 1,000 years ago, it was maybe there, but now it's already moving. So I want like to see, based on your dasha cycles and where your dasha lord is or whatever is it, which part of the world will be your golden phi earth point. There might be some golden, because again you have to know what is the region that you call as, where you start from and where you see the golden phi. I know there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Just like you talked about the 10th house cusp, I would be very interested to see where would be your golden ratio or the 5 point on the earth where you can get the maximum, because it's all about fractals. It's about those fractals you want to see manifest in your life, right? You want to bring out the best.
Yes, definitely.
So I think the golden phi is something we need to do. Maybe I don't know if anybody would be able to use that as a software to create that golden phi point for your individual charts. So you can actually see what points where you go and you resonate the most naturally, with the universal laws. This one of the golden 5 points which people said thousands of years ago, which has shifted from there, of course, and it's moving more towards the east. It started with Pyramid of Giza. That was where the golden phi was at one point of time, and it's been shifting. Then it went to Mecca, and it's moving towards the east now. Okay.
Yeah, no, I definitely, what Dr. Pai, just to add on to that, you can see at some point in age, India was having a lot of power. And then you see at some point the power shifted over to the Europe. And even in Europe also there was a shift from UK to Germany, and then to Russia, to now to China all the way, So that's definitely a shift of
Yeah,
power
you're
that is
moving
happening.
from, if you really see from Great Britain, it's moving slowly towards the east. So now probably the whole shift is in China.
Yeah, China,
So
India,
it's
kind for
interesting to
sure.
see
Yeah,
what's happening with the new
yeah,
coronavirus breakout, which has happened in Wuhan. But what could be Wuhan? Why is it creating
right.
something? Is it impacting somewhere else with your whole concept of the 10th house cusp, and maybe looking at those areas? Anyway, I think these are a lot of areas of research. I know we can really talk all throughout the night, but that's not the purpose. But I think this is a brilliant presentation that we have seen from you today, Sandeep. And I want to really thank you for you and Aditya for coming in, and Navji for facilitating this. So thank you, Navji, for having this wonderful discussion between all of us and facilitating this and organizing this for us.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Sandeep. Thank you, Aditya.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Navji.
Yeah.
Okay. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.